Hey guys, welcome to the Money Mix podcast number 19. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Al, that's Dan. So we'll get into it right away. Go for it,
Okay.
Stan.
So this week on Wednesday, the Fed chairman came out and said that there will be no interest rate hikes. I guess not too much of a surprise that now and here and now we're getting a break of the interest rate hikes, but there's still a chance that they may bring another interest rate hike back next month. So don't be surprised that we get maybe 25 basis points or another 50 basis points sometime this year. May not even be in October, maybe in November. And in my opinion, if that actually goes through, watch out. We're going to go on a roller coaster. The gas prices are already high. The mortgage interest rates are really high, close to 7%, depending on the bank. And we have gas prices that are ridiculously expensive, grocery prices going up. So yeah, the economy is not looking good, and yeah, we'll have to see if another interest rate hike will break the system. What do you think, Al?
I think that I think there's people who expected it, but I feel like there's a lot of people who were expecting it to actually drop down. I think that the fact that they're keeping it up and they are saying that there's a chance that they're actually the next one might actually go up or they might raise it.
Yeah,
I think that is surprising some people, especially the way that Joe Biden has talked about the economy, especially how some people are like, "Oh, we're going back to normal again," and it feels like when you look at the interest rates, it feels like that. I don't know if that we're going back to normal. It just seems like the interest rates keep on going up, and they're trying to stabilize so that this somehow will help people, but it just feels like
yeah. How
they're
are they?
not going in
How?
the like in the direct direction.
I mean,
Well,
how's it helping people? There are less jobs available, right? That's number one. Number two, gas prices are really, really high. We're talking about in California, close to like $6 a gallon. Then we have mortgage interest rates that are hovering around seven and above. The prices on homes are not coming down; they're actually going up in some
Well,
areas.
that's
Yeah,
kind of like the thing that supposedly throughout the years, but economists have always said is okay. So you raise the mortgage rate price, people stop buying homes less, and the prices of homes will go down. The problem is that home prices aren't going down yet. They keep on going up, even though they're raising the interest rate. So
yeah.
that thing isn't working. The problem is that how far do you take the interest rate before home prices go down? And
Well,
at the moment, they're like they don't know.
well, yeah. But the thing is that like a lot of people who have homes right now are locked in at like 3 or below %, right? So they know that if they sell their house right now, they're not going to be able to get a better deal than that. They're going to, what are they waiting for? They're going to be waiting for lower interest rate prices than what they have right now. So, no, nobody wants to sell their house, right?
Well,
So,
I don't know if people don't want to sell their house. Is that what you're asking?
no.
Or is that what the point you're making?
Well, even if they want to, let's just say, even if they want to sell
Okay.
their house right now, they probably won't just because if they want to buy another house, then they'll be paying more than double, for the mortgage, right? For
Right,
the
but remember, there's a lot of people who make buying and selling houses their business.
Oh yeah,
So
it's a different story. I'm
right.
talking
So
about,
so
yeah.
there's a lot of people who are just kind of like sell it like meaning not everyone is like I'm selling the house I live in and then I have to get another house. People are in the position of like I am not like I have one house and I'm selling the other house.
Right, that's a
And
different story. Yeah, yeah. If you're talking about a business property, secondary house or something like that, yeah, I mean, maybe people are waiting out to see whether the prices are going to increase, right?
Mhm.
That could also be a situation that a lot of people are in. But eventually they're going to have to sell their house unless they're renting it out. That could also be another situation that people are in.
Sure.
Uh, so there are a
Well,
lot of people in different mortgage situations. I'm really talking about more people who are interested to maybe buy their first house, and they're looking at the interest rates and they're like, whoa, I can't afford the same house as when it was at like 3 point something percent, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
sure, for sure. I mean, there's like there's definitely that there like but what sucks is it's like there are people who can afford to buy houses at that rate and people who are like, hey, you know what, whatever, I could still buy it. And the thing is we are seeing that people are still buying houses at these kind of rates. So um I
well,
understand what they're trying to do. I don't know how long though it's going to take before something stabilizes and they could lower the interest rates, because I don't know what they have to wait for. I don't know if they're waiting
yeah,
for
I'm telling
houses to be like, hey, this house that's selling for $500,000 now, well, we lowered it by interest, because of the interest rates, we lowered it to 300,000. I don't see that happening.
Well, I think something has to yet again break in the economy, right? I mean, we already had a few banks go under, and I think that potentially they're waiting for a big bank or smaller banks to call it quits, and then they're going to have to step in and say, well, we overdid it, we made a mistake. We're going to have to either stop raising interest rates altogether or go back down and or start printing more money and giving more stimulus, right? So either way it's not good for the average person, because the average person is not making any more money, right?
Right. Hmm.
There are a lot of people that are coming out of college right now, and do you think that they're finding a high end job? I don't know about that.
Well, the
There
thing is, I mean, a lot of people that are coming out of college right now are really kind of in debt as
yeah.
like, so it's like
Yep.
it's you have a debt and on top of that you want to buy a house and
Oh, no, forget
it's like,
about
yeah, 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 exactly. So it's kind of like you're you're kind of screwed for the next at least 10 years at least, and maybe hopefully you got a good enough job and you got enough raises and all that kind of stuff where you could start potentially being afford to buy one. The
Well,
issue
okay,
here is now is because of interest rates. So it's like, do you want to buy it at like 10% in the next few 10 years or something?
okay. Well, think about this. I graduated in 2006,
Hmm.
I believe. Yeah, I think it's 2006. And I'm still paying my student loan, right?
Right.
So I'm paying for a long while, and my payments are not that high, thank God, right? Because
Right.
I think my balance was like $12,000. So it's been a long time, and I still haven't paid off my student loan, right?
Right.
What about the college students that have
50 or 100,000 or
50,000
200,000. Yeah.
Right, right. How long is that gonna take them? Look, I've been paying for 17 years, and I
Right.
I think I might have 1 or 2 more years left. Thank God.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. You know what I mean?
I mean,
So,
there's been a
uh,
lot of people who graduated college and they're still like they're in their 50s and 60s still paying it off because they had trouble within that time paying it off,
yeah,
so they had to postpone it. And
right.
yeah, and the thing is, again, they've made it so that you can't get away from that. Like you, even in bankruptcy, you still have to pay your
Yep.
college loan off,
Yeah.
which is to me it's insane. I have no clue
Yeah.
why
Screwed it.
why would we treat children like that? Like, why would we like if you do anything else, if you're growing up and you open up a business and you whatever, let's say you get loans for $100,000, and let's say you then go bankrupt, go, hey, it didn't work out. They're like,
Yeah.
I guess so, it didn't work out.
Yep.
But then a kid who doesn't know anything about anything going like, I've been told since I was a kid I need to go to college. Now I went to college. I'm not. It's like you have to pay that money off no matter what. It's like
Right.
doesn't matter if it was a mistake or not. You have to pay it off. And like we have a mutual friend. We're not going to use his name, but we have a mutual friend who went to college but dropped out. It doesn't mean that the
Yeah.
money that he spent on it he doesn't have to pay it anymore. And he had, I think, what was it, $30,000 or $50,000 loan that he needed to
That
pay
I
it off,
don't. That I don't know.
something along those lines. And it's like he didn't even get the degree, but he still has to pay that off. And again,
Yeah.
that was just being
Uh,
young and stupid, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. But I mean, you can say it's stupid, but at the same time, like, nobody's teaching you about any of it, right?
No.
So when
The
you're
only thing, the only thing like we are taught though, like to be honest, the only thing we are taught is go to college and do this
yeah,
because it's going to be better for you.
yeah,
And now it's like there's so many kids who are still paying off their college loan. It's insane.
it's just really insane, and I just don't know how they recover from that. Honestly, I really don't know how they would recover from something like that, because when we were growing up, there was a percentage that went to, college, and there was a percentage that didn't go to college. Now everybody has to go to college. Really, everybody
Mhm.
has to go to college. So if everybody's going to college, then how can there be so many jobs when, they come out of college? You know what I mean?
Again, I'm
It's a
actually,
shame.
to be honest
It's
with
a
you,
shame.
I am not against everybody going to college. I am against the outrageous amounts that you could pay for college. That doesn't make sense to me. It should be proportional, to me at least. It should be proportional to the job that you get. If you're going to become a teacher, at least for me, it shouldn't be that expensive because you're not going to be like, meaning if you go to Harvard and you become a teacher, you're not going to be making $100,000, $200,000 a year, but yet you'll pay the same amount as somebody who went for 4 years into business who's now a multi millionaire, selling whatever, you know. To me, I think it should be kind of proportional to where you're going. It doesn't make sense for somebody who's a social worker or anything like that to pay as much as somebody who, I don't know, is becoming an engineer. Just I understand if you become an engineer and you start working, where you're making $200,000. I understand that there's a difference between that and somebody who's a social worker who's making $40,000 a year. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just feel like it should be proportional. But
So I just looked it up, like, Cal State Northridge. Pretty much anyone can get into Cal State Northridge or any Cal State program.
yeah,
You don't have to have like
be
crazy.
be literate, basically.
Right, right. As long as you're able to read, write, pass some tests, you'll
Count.
be able. I'm sorry, and count. You'll be able to get in, right? So
Right.
listen to this. For the academic year 2022,
Mhm.
2023, the undergraduate tuition fees at Cal State Northridge is 7,600 and sorry, 7,069 for California residents. I mean, that's still not bad. That is not bad.
Comparatively, yes. Comparatively,
Yeah. But still, that's still quite a bit of money.
yes.
Um, you're talking about what, like $28,000 for 4 years, right? And
Yes. Mhm.
that doesn't include anything else, right? It doesn't
Right. No
include
books, nothing like that. Yeah, yeah.
books, gas, or anything else, right?
Right.
We're talking about like one of the cheapest ways of getting your degree.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh, but a lot
And
of people strive to go to like UCLA or USC, which is like
yeah,
ridiculous
USC.
amount.
Yeah, you once you're talking about USC, you're talking about ridiculous money at that point.
So we're talking about 13,258 for UCLA per year.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's 52. That's a minimum of $52,000 for 4 years.
Mhm. And
And
by the way, remember, most kids go to college for 5 years. Like, like,
right,
like, there's
that's
very few that actually only go for 4. Most people go to
ex-
5.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. That doesn't include if you want to go to like summer sessions. Doesn't include books.
Right.
There's a lot of things that go into going to college, right?
Yeah.
So, man, it's expensive now. So, kids have to really think hard on, actually trying to figure out their major, because if they go for arts or liberal arts or something, like when you get out of college, you might not be able to find a job.
Yeah. The thing is, it's kind of like this. I feel like if you're a kid who's in a position where you're like, I don't know what I want to do, then maybe take like a semester off or take a year off before going to college and
Yeah,
really try to come up with what you want to do. Because if you decide you want to do something that maybe doesn't even need a degree, maybe all you need is a certificate, maybe you just need training. If you
yeah,
want to, like, maybe you want to be an electrician, maybe you want to do something that's
yeah,
completely different. Think about that first and then decide if it's worth it for you to go, because
yeah.
yeah, if you do decide to get a like a house, you're gonna struggle if you have $50,000 loan that you're paying off for your school, and if you're not getting paid a lot of money, good
Right.
luck,
Well,
you
but
know.
see, like, I think the other problem are the parents, because the parents are pushing their kids like, oh, it's prestigious for
Yeah.
you to have a college degree, and if you don't have it, then oh my God, what are you going to do?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that, the pressure on them. But yeah, okay, so let's get off of this part. So do you think that, these interest rate hikes, if we continue to have them, will put a lot of people into like a dire situation? Because the higher the interest rates go, the less borrowing, businesses can actually attain.
See,
And
I understand where you're going. I just want to stop you real quick because I
yeah,
actually think it's the opposite. I feel like
the
this
opposite.
actually, okay, the thing is, we're over, I don't know if you know this, but we're over $1 trillion in credit card debt right now. Like the country is. We're
Oh,
like, meaning as people,
okay.
over $1 trillion in debt, like meaning individuals. These interest rates go up very closely when the mortgage rates go up, then the credit card companies go, well, we have to raise our rates too. Yeah, I understand we're charging 26%, but now that these rates are up, we're going to charge 27%. Well, what's the problem? And what sucks is like these people who are like, if you owe your credit card or mortgage or whatever and you can't pay it off and you have to pay this money, you're in a horrible situation because paying at 26% rate on credit cards, I don't know who can. I like literally, it's like if you're paying $50,000 at 26% interest rate, good luck. Like, I mean, that's an almost an impossible thing unless you make really good money.
Well, but
Um,
I don't think, okay, listen, I don't think that a person in that situation, in my opinion, I might be wrong,
mhm.
but in my opinion, I think that's like the least of their worries, because, I mean, they just won't be able to pay. I mean, there's nothing that they can literally do. So they'll just stop, making the payments, and that'll be it. I mean, literally,
Right, but people don't a lot of times. People don't want to go to collections. People do
sure.
try to pay it off, and that's the reason why,
I guess.
like, we're talking about over $1 trillion of debt that's going on right now
Okay.
in America.
Okay, well,
That's
you're talking about only credit card debt. What
Mhm.
about car loans? What about car
I
leases?
actually think that's included. I don't think the only one that's not included is mortgage, but I think it includes like personal loans and credit cards, if I'm not mistaken. I
Okay,
said credit cards, but I think it's both.
so it includes car loans, car
Yeah.
leases,
Hmm.
and credit cards. I mean,
Yes.
look, that sounds like a small amount. I would think it would be more than a trillion, but like, I think the more or the higher the interest rates go, the higher the debt of the credit cards go up, because
Right.
you know
Exactly. They'll only increase. That's literally what
it's
my
not
point
only
behind it.
right, but it's not only that. I think people are going to start being more and more desperate to use their credit cards, right? Because they're going to start running out of cash, right? And they're going to have to use their credit cards. And the thing is that, like, in this situation, like, what do you do, right? What do you like? I mean, they keep on raising interest rates, and nobody's blaming anybody for it, really. It's just like, oh, the Fed decided today to raise interest rates. And I think most Americans and most people don't even know what's going on. I really don't think they have the capacity to understand, like, oh, he just raised 25 basis points. You know what I mean? How is that going to affect the economy? I think people don't even, listen to that type of news. I don't know. What do you think?
Um, whether people listen to that type of news or
Yeah. How many discussions have you had about, like the Fed raising interest rates with, your other friends or family members?
Not much. I mean, the thing is, like, I
Uh,
would have like general conversations in regards to the economy, but not in particular the Fed and stuff like that. No, the
exactly.
people that really are bothered by it are the people who are looking for houses at the moment. Those are the people that are bothered by it. But if you're not looking to buy a house at the moment, you're just that doesn't matter to you, and
Right.
that's the reason why we don't have a bigger outcry of
Right.
people going, "Hey, what's going on?" Because
Well,
it just doesn't bother everybody.
Well, what I'm trying to get to is that even if you're looking for a house to buy, you might look into, well, wait a second, why are the interest rates going up, right? And they might stumble upon the fact that, oh, there is an organization called the Federal Reserve that is in charge of that area. But most people don't even know what the hell is going on. They don't know why gas prices are going up, right? They're just
Mhm.
thinking it's just a bad economy. You
Right.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, well, why did the car break? I don't know. I'm gonna take it to the mechanic and then he'll fix it, right?
Right.
It's like it's the same notion. So I really do think that something like this goes over people's heads, and people are like, well, it must be a bad economy.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean the thing is again, I feel like this is the situation at this point, and people have to find out more information because, yeah, the more you know about this, the more hopefully people will start going, hey, something needs to be done, except just the basic minimum of like, hey, increase the mortgage rates, but yeah, keep on spending whatever you want.
Right.
And by the way, speaking of that, that leads us to our next topic, which is spending. So the government is threatening a shutdown again. um, Kevin McCarthy, the House Speaker, is trying to hold a bunch of conferences, try to figure out what to do, what they want, and all that kind of stuff. Um, this we've seen this play out many times. If people on the right are in power, the left threatens to shut down the government. If now the left is in power, the right is trying to threaten to shut down the government. What do you think of this? Do you think that people are becoming almost kind of desensitized to this? Do you think that this is like has an effect on the economy as a whole, or do you think it's just kind of like whatever at this point?
Well, I mean, I think both. I mean, I think that the people who are actually paying attention to this are becoming desensitized because we've heard of it so often. Oh, the government will shut down. The government will shut down. All these services will go out. You're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do that, and all these threats. And like people are like, I don't want to even pay attention to it because they're going to have a resolution, right?
Right.
They're always going to come to a resolution. It's just what are they going to put into the bill next, right?
Hmm.
What type of new restriction, or what type of new tax, or what type of like decrease in something or increase in something they're gonna put in. Is it gonna affect Social Security? Is it gonna affect other welfare programs and stuff like that? So I think that people who are paying attention to it are just like, I don't want to pay attention to it anymore unless something actually happens, right? If
But
there's
do you think? Okay, okay. But do you
Yeah.
think from a perspective of the economy in general, though, do you think that this kind of talk and these threats all the time Basically, it seems like what every 3 months, every 6 months or so, we get like the
Well,
country is going to be shut down. We're shutting down the government.
well,
Um,
the government's going to be shut down,
right,
right? I mean,
right.
when the government is shut down, then all these programs get affected,
Well,
and
technically, everything gets affected. Meaning,
yeah,
if they don't make special restrictions to it, so meaning, from Social Security isn't given to the elderly. Schools, public schools shut down because there's no money there. Like meaning, you basically across the board, everything that has any kind of government funding gets shut down, which is a lot of different things.
not only
From millions of people who are on welfare and stuff like that, they don't get it. So,
it. I mean, I agree with you, but it's not only like governments because I'm saying, okay, sorry, not governments. It's not only government necessarily programs that are going to be shut down. When one area of the economy is affected, another area will also get affected. So if the government facilities are being shut down, then maybe some type of food program that's delivered to those government facilities will get shut down. Maybe the accounting services that are being provided to the government, right, from a
mhm.
private institution, they get affected. So it might be like a domino effect. So yes,
Oh,
if
definitely a good domino effect.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So if the government actually goes through a shutdown, then I think the economy will definitely suffer.
Right,
You
but no, no,
know,
I'm with you. I'm with you on the idea that if the government shuts down, it obviously has an economic effect. There's absolutely no question about that. I'm
exactly.
more quite like, I'm more on the side of that the threatening of shutdowns, which they've happened. It seems like every single time that there's a decision to be made, there's threat of shutdown.
Yeah,
Do you think that just the threat of it, because I remember the first time it was done in many years, this was maybe a decade ago or something. The first time it was done, everybody's like, whoa, what's going to happen? And I remember the economy was really affected by it at that point.
you're right.
Now, I don't know if I see the real effect. Like, meaning, like when they talk about mortgage rates, that I think has an actual effect. I mean,
Yeah,
like meaning, yeah. But when it comes to the shutdowns, I feel like people are like, all right, unless something happens, just shut up.
yeah,
I don't want to hear what you
yeah,
have to say. And the thing is, it's this. By the way, it's the same thing. If you follow politics whatsoever, it's the same crap every single time. Just depends on which side you are. So if right now on the left, they're going, can you imagine these people are threatening not to pay the bills unless they get it their way? And then as soon as the people on the right are in power, then the left does the same exact thing and goes, we're gonna shut down the government unless we get our way. And then people on the right, like, can you imagine these people want to shut down the government and not pay the bills that we already owe? It's the same exact talking points, just flipped. It's
yeah.
frustrating to listen to. It's ugh,
I
just
agree.
annoying.
I agree. I don't think that right now the threat is serious at all. I think people are just like, well, this is just another day in Congress, right?
Mhm.
So I don't think that it's going to have any effect, on the actual stock market or on Main Street at all. I think that the only time it will have an effect is if they can't come to an agreement and they actually do shut down and they're not paying bills. Then obviously, then we're in for a very rough ride in a sense. But just them threatening, I really don't think anything's going to come out of that.
Do you think that there's anything that at this point can or should be
Should be
done so
done.
that we don't,
Right.
like we're not in the same place in 6 months talking about the same thing, well, not us, but like the government talking about the same thing. There's a threat, we're going to shut down the government if you don't do dot dot dot. um is there
Well,
anything that should be done about this, or do you think it's just the status quo and they'll be the same thing for the next 10 years? Is it going to be the same conversation?
I think there needs to be a discussion about what can be done. I mean, that's the first step, right?
Hmm.
Will it actually come to that? I don't know. I think that. the reason why they have these threats and they make a big deal out of it, is because they want to actually introduce something new, or they want to add to those programs, or they want to remove from those programs, right?
I
uh,
almost feel like they're also trying to act like we're doing something. You think we're not doing anything, but look, we're threatening them. If they don't do exactly how we say, we're gonna. And it almost feels like kind of like somebody with a gun and going like, I'm gonna kill you and I'm gonna kill myself if we don't do exactly, the things that I want.
that's
It
true.
it kind of feels like it's like a mutual destruction situation where they're like, we're just gonna blow this whole thing up. Let's do this. And it's a weird thing that happens every feel. I think it's every 6 months. I want to say something like that.
Well, now it
Right,
might
right, right, right.
it
Exactly.
might be every quarter, coming up very soon, because the spending is just like out of control. I mean, like look at the amount of money they've gave to Ukraine, and that's just one country, right?
Right.
How much money
Well,
they're giving out to other countries is another question, right?
that and the thing is, I feel like the money that we are spending, even on the United States, is I feel like frivolously kind of thrown in. It's like so. I always look at it like this. So you have a mayor who comes in and is like, "Hey, we're gonna do infrastructure spending." So the mayor puts a budget for infrastructure spending. Then you have the governor going in, "Hey, we're gonna for the state, we're gonna have infrastructure spending." Like, oh, great, okay, infrastructure spending, great. Then you have the president who just passed the biggest infrastructure spending bill, where he basically gave, I think it was like $1.5 trillion on infrastructure spending. I'm like, I I don't know about you. I still see the same potholes everywhere. The streets look the same. I don't know where that $1.5 trillion is going to. I don't know what the mayor is promising or the governor's promising, but it seems like there's a lot of money on fixing things, but we don't actually see it. It just seems like it all gets jumbled up, and then we don't know where the money goes to, and then we're back to the same situation of like, hey, I
I
know
mean,
we spent $1.5 trillion last year, but we need to probably spend $2 trillion now, and we need to like really, really fix our roads.
I'm sure that the money is actually going into those directions, but I almost feel like
In the general direction, yes.
no, I think it's going there, but I really do think that it's over budgeted. Like for example, let's say a road will cost $1 million, right?
Mhm.
But they put in the budget $2 million. Do you know what I mean? So the extra million goes somewhere else. That's pretty much like how I feel it's actually done, because they are like, I mean, the roads are not bad. You know what I mean? From my perspective, at least.
I
I mean,
okay, okay. I don't know if you saw this or if you even heard of people who travel to other countries and stuff like that. But
yeah.
like, if you look at Sweden or if you look at a lot of European countries and stuff like that, like they have their infrastructure budget is way, way, way. They're not in the trillions of dollars or anything like that. They're way, way smaller. But somehow,
Yeah.
like their streets are fantastically beautiful. People like that's one of the things when people go travel to other countries, they're like, Europe, hey, it's actually really, really nice as opposed to we both we're both in California. It's supposed to be one of the best states when it comes to streets. It's not very nice. There's a lot of places that just on big streets, by the way, big name streets like Santa Monica or Sunset and stuff. You'll find places where it's like it just doesn't look right. It's like there's a bunch of places where it could be fixed and could be made better,
Yeah.
and we're I don't know. It just to me,
So,
I agree with you that they do overspend, but I do think that there's a lot of money that goes into places where later on we'll see articles and stuff like that about, and they can't find $78 billion. There's
yeah.
an error somewhere there. They just can't find it. It's like
Oh yeah.
that's sort of where I think it is.
I've heard a lot of that type of stuff, right?
Everyone has. We all know that somehow. I understand if they misplace like $300, we don't know where it went.
Can they
But like
second.
billions? What do you mean?
Wait,
How did you misplace that?
wait. How can they misplace a digital numbers? Come on, that doesn't make any sense. Like,
Right. That's the thing. Like before, I understand. Like back in the day, I completely understand where they were like, "Hey, we spent like like we wrote it down in our ledger, and somebody's like, oh my god, I forgot to write it down, like, and there's kind of like a mishap. I understand back in the day when everything needed to be like written down. That's not the case anymore. You're right. It's all electronic. You can't
Yeah.
misplace it. You know exactly where it went, but you're not telling us, and you're saying it's just kind of gone. We don't know where. And again, it's not small amounts. We're talking billions of dollars constantly get misplaced.
Yeah.
And
They
I'm just like, okay, you're obviously fucking with us. And
wait, they got misplaced in his account.
right,
We
exactly. It
can't,
just seems like everyone who works on this becomes much richer. I don't know how that happens.
well, we can't tell you because then we would be cheating you.
Right. It's just it's a
That's
it's a weird thing. That's why I'm kind of like yeah, and then like the next spending bill that they're gonna want to do is gonna be another. Well, we need $1 trillion at least,
yeah.
because it's like how are we gonna be able to afford this new major thing that we're trying to do, and then like nothing happens there. Again, if we spend as a country $1.5 trillion on infrastructure, I
Yeah.
better see like the streets have to be fantastic. The lights have to be new. Like we should be walking in like $1.5 trillion. We're not talking. That's not a little bit of money. That's a lot of money. And the fact is that like we don't really see it. It's I don't know.
And I
That's
agree. I definitely agree with you on that. I'm just saying, comparatively to other countries, maybe like in Southeast Asia, we have like fabulous streets. You know,
sure. Compared to LA, I would say that. But compared to other countries, I would disagree. I think that they're nice streets compared to other countries.
maybe,
But
maybe.
but it's just like we could do so much better.
Yeah.
And like yeah.
But let me add something to this conversation, and that is, yes, they're threatening to shut down the government at the moment. That's not going to happen. But in the near term future, maybe in 5 years or something like that, we will have a shutdown.
Yeah,
That
I agree. I agree.
that will happen, and that will have shockwaves going through the whole entire country, and it's not going to be pleasant. And at that time, people might actually stand up and protest, but I think it'll be too late because nothing will be able to be done
Right.
at the
I
moment.
agree. I agree.
People,
Like eventually somebody will like hold on and go like, no, we're not moving on this. We're going to shut down the government.
yeah,
And the people that they're whether it's going to be the right who does it, whether it's going to be the left who does it, they're going to say like, this is really important to us. The people on the other side will go like, we're never give in because this is important to us as well. And that's basically where we're going to be at. Eventually it'll happen. When, I don't know.
right.
Anywho, let's move on to a lighter topic, if it is that. So the writer and actor strikes are still going on. There haven't been any new shows or TV or movies done in the last, I think it's like at least 5 months now. But in the recent, maybe in the last like 2 weeks or so, you had two big stories in a sense where Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher both wanted to come back to do their shows. They said that they're not going to have any writing, and they're just going to basically do a panel. Well, for Bill Maher, he was just going to do a panel where they do current events, and Drew Barrymore is basically just going to interview people. That was basically the idea behind it. But they got so much pushback, like how dare you come back and basically like we're on strike and now you're helping these companies out so they could hold out longer. The argument, just to give the argument from their side that they were making, is there's people who are not actors or writers that are not getting paid for the last 5 months. They have families, they have needs to they have mortgages they need to pay for, and they're not getting paid anything at the moment. And even when the strike ends, they're not going to get that money
They're
back.
cutting
They're
off.
not going to get anything. They're not going to get a raise. They're just going to come back to work. So Bill Maher, for example, he said, I want to come back because they could work. There's not going to be any writing. I'm just going to be just talking about current events. That's it. So much pushback that Drew Barrymore made a very sad video where she was crying and apologizing how she didn't know and didn't understand. Bill Maher didn't do that. but he did say that he's postponing coming back for now because he sees that they're at least starting to talk again, both sides in terms of the studios and the writers and that.
Right.
And he basically said, I'll wait for a while to see if they could resolve it before that. Now, given all this context, what do you think? Do you think that this was the right thing to do, or
Context.
or not? I guess.
You-
What? I didn't hear.
Well, I mean, I think that if you have a show, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, the thing is that like it's up to you. It's up to the studio producer. It's up to the studio whether you have a show or not, right?
Yes.
So it's up to them. I mean, if
Well,
they're
no, no, no. Hold on, hold on. I just want to stop you there. It
unless
is them. It like they're like the argument that the writers and actors are saying. Yes, but if you're giving them the show, if like meaning if you're coming back, you're helping the studio go, we don't need to talk to the writers or the actors because we have these shows as well. So basically their argument is you're helping them and they could hold out longer, so we have to compromise more. That's basically the idea that's their perspective.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. What I'm trying to say is it's really up to Bill Maher, right? It's
Hmm.
his show,
Yes.
correct?
Hmm.
It's up to him whether he wants to actually support the writers or he's just completely tired of this whole strike, and he's like, listen, like I've been here supporting you guys. It's taken too long. I want to do what I love to do, and I want to get back into the mix, and I just want to have a show. Either way, we're gonna need writers. It's just in the meantime, this is what I'm gonna do. If you want to support me, support me. If you don't want to support me, don't support me. This is what I would essentially say. But it's up to him. It's up to him.
But
Uh,
that's the thing. He saw the blowback.
right.
We don't know how big it would have been, but maybe it was guests that didn't want to come on because they knew how they would be perceived. That's like, you're coming on to this guy's. By the way, just to add for context, there's a show, a very popular show that never went off during the strike or not, and that's The View, who is basically doing the same thing that Bill Maher would be doing. They're basically just talking about current events. That's all they do, and they give their opinions. That's what Bill Maher wanted to do. No one is saying to cancel The View, or not cancel, but at least not be on while the strike is going on.
Right.
So to me, I feel like there's this an unfairness going on. At least I'll put it. That that. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do you want to say something?
No, no. I mean, of course, that's what's happening. But the real question is, why do you think that the View is able to get away with that, and Bill Maher and Drew Barrymore are not?
Why do I think? I
Uh,
think because they never went off, then
uh,
people kind of like let them be and go like, oh well, they're different, because like no one is asking for like the news not to be on, right? No one is asking for
yeah, that's
reality TV not to be on, right? Like
yeah.
there are still things that are playing that no one is asking for, and I think The View kind of snuck in under the guise of like, oh well, it's like they're technically there's no writers there, so we don't have to really, there's no reason for them to be removed. But
I see.
because Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher technically have writers because they do like monologues and stuff, and they do like skits
Yeah.
sometimes. Because of that, they're like, well, it's like,
I
yeah,
mean,
you're not going to do it now, but still, you shouldn't be up.
that makes sense. But yet again, I mean, like, it's like, oh my God, like, if there's a strike at Ralph's, right?
Hmm.
And people are like, yeah, we're actually for the people that are striking, and nobody should be working at Ralph's until the whole thing just gets resolved, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you have to be like crazy, right? Because people need to go to the grocery store, they need to buy food, right?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna shut down the grocery stores. I mean, come on. That's what I'm saying. Like, if one set of people are striking and everybody else isn't,
Hmm.
then everybody else should have the right to earn money. Isn't that like a
I
basic,
right.
like a
That's
basic
the thing.
common sense?
Right. That's the thing for me. That's where I feel like most strongly about this is because the highest paid people on any movie, documentary, any set whatsoever, on any like TV show, are the actors and the writers. These are the most highest people paid, right? Not including, of course, the director and producer. But those are the highest people. The rest of the people that do the lighting, the after effects, behind the scenes stuff, the just everybody else that works there, they don't get paid anywhere near as much. And they do require, like a lot of them do live paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
But none of these people give a shit about them. They care about the writers that are, it's like this. If you're a writer on a popular show or a popular movie, you're not struggling for money. You're looking for your fifth house, you know? You're like you're not. And of course, if you're an actor,
Oh,
the
forget.
same thing. The same thing. You're making a load, but they're talking about, yeah, but there's people who don't make a lot of money. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
working in Hollywood is based on how good the TV show or movie that you do. If it does well, you're going to be rich. If it doesn't do well, you're not. That's
Yeah.
how it works. And it just feels very kind of like we only care about the writers and the actors. We don't really care about the 5 months that these people who actually need money more than they do. We don't really care about them. And you're a scumbag for trying to give them like money, but like for example, Bill Maher or Drew Barrymore. I just kind of I'm with them more. If they're not doing anything with writing and they're not doing anything with acting for that matter, and they're just talking about current events because they're the people that work with them could now get paid, screw those other people. Like that's some bullshit. That's at least my point of view.
Well, yet again, I mean, you should have the right to do what you want to do if it's
Well,
your.
remember. This is not about right. He has the right. So
That's what I'm
he
saying.
right. He chose not to because of the
Right.
blowback that he
Well,
was going to
okay.
receive.
Well, that's his. Okay, look. Either way, if he wants to do it, that's his thing. If he doesn't want to do it, that's his thing. It's his decision whether he does it or not. Like if he really truly cares about people who need money, then he can continue making his show. If he says, you know what, I really care about what other people say, then he stops doing it, and that's what he did. So, like we see that he has no balls, and he just does what other people tell him to do. It's just simple as that.
The question is,
So
see again, I don't think it's that black and white where if he does it, he has balls, and if he doesn't, he doesn't.
that's
Because the
just
thing is, the only reason why I say that is I don't know how big the blowback was. Meaning, if they tried to put feelers out to find out that they need guests, and if he tried to get like people to go there and they're like, dude, you're radioactive right now. I do not want to go on your show right now because all the vitriol you're getting, I'm gonna get, and it's not worth it for me. And if he saw that people were not gonna come to a show, he's like, well, I can't even do it because I'm getting so much blowback for it.
yeah,
So okay,
that's,
I'm gonna hold off. So I'm
that's true.
saying it's just not
That's true.
like black and white. That's all I'm saying because we don't know the
Yes.
situation that he was put in.
No, no, no. I'm just saying that like he could still do the show. He can do it himself. You know what I mean? But he doesn't want to. I'm just saying it's what he wants to do, and he assesses the situation, makes the business decision, and if it was truly like a blowback where other guests did not want to come on, then yeah, there's no show, right? So I see that. I see that as a possibility.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
then
no. Again, I think it can be.
but then there's other people probably that are less known, could have come on, but then you can make an argument, well, they're less known and this and that, and nobody would watch it, and who knows. Yeah.
Right. But let me ask you something. This is just a thought that I had, and I'm curious where you stand on it. Okay. So the thing that both the actors and the writers are asking for is they want to get paid more, right? when especially like a show starts doing better and starts like airing every single time and all that kind of stuff, they want to get paid more, right? That's the major goal behind it, right?
Sure.
The thing is that my question is this to you: do you think it's fair to ask for more, but at the same time, if like most TV shows, most movies in general, whether it's CBS, ABC, mainstream movie theaters, whatever, they actually don't make their money back. It's a loss for them because most TV shows die in the first two episodes. Most movies don't ever earn their money back. It's just unfortunately that's the case. Some do, and then there's some like that make a gazillion dollars more, and that's the hope is that you might get that one big show and one big movie that pays for everything else, right?
Yeah.
My question is, do you think would it be fair to say, hey, we'll give you more money, right? For every single time we air the show, every time it does well, blah, 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 you get more and more money. But if a show doesn't do well, right? Let's say we paid you $1 million for the pilot episode, or we spent $1 million on a pilot episode, you got $100,000, but we tried it, it didn't work. We're not even going to air it. It sucks. The show sucks. Can we get them that money back? Do you think that would be fair? Or do you think that's a completely like it's like no, that wouldn't be fair.
I mean, that wouldn't be fair, but I mean, yet again, like if I think that that could be fair, not even in that sense, right?
And again, not necessarily take everything back, but if, for example, let's say you do 10 episodes and you get paid per episode, let's say you're an actor, you get paid like $30,000 per episode because it's a brand new show. And then like they air one episode, it just completely bombs. No one's watching it. They cancel the show right away and they go like, you know what? Can we get back like 30% or something like that what we paid you like from ever like kind of like just like, hey, but if it did well, we're gonna give you way more money because you're
Yeah,
gonna get paid way because we're gonna every single time it airs, we're gonna get paid and you're gonna be doing so well. But if you don't, can we just take some of the money back so we
I
recoup our losses?
no, I think there needs to be like a base salary, okay? And then on top of the base salary, there needs to be
Oh, by the way, I'm specifically talking about writers and
a
actors because the rest, like you don't have like the lighting guy isn't getting paid every single time
right.
the show airs or something like that. It's specifically the writers, the actors, the
That's
directors, the
what I'm saying.
producers.
That's what I'm saying. There needs
Okay.
to be a base salary, and then there needs to be a percentage of uh, royalty. That's pretty much how I think that they
Okay,
should.
but what about in the case where the show is a bomb? It
That's what
just
doesn't matter.
okay.
Doesn't matter.
So
Doesn't
so
matter.
so so, so they get paid a fixed amount no matter what.
Yes, let's say per day or per
No,
episode.
per episode. Per
Yeah,
episode. Okay.
the base pay is like 5,000.
Okay.
Okay. And then if it airs,
Hmm.
then you get like, let's say 10% or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
So something like that. I mean, it's so much
I
easier.
actually agree with that. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's
There's
simple.
no way that they would agree to that because they like see the thing is like the people that are saying they want extra, they're not saying, oh, it's okay, pay us less up front and then give us royalties. They're saying pay us what you're paying us now up
And
front and then add to that the royalties and every single time it airs on
well,
whether it's Amazon and Netflix, wherever it is.
or then the royalties have to be much less. That's all it is, right? I mean, so give them royalties, but give them like a really really like a fraction of a percent or something like that. Like whatever
But
whatever amount they come up with, just give them like a small amount off of each episode. You know what I mean?
but that's the thing. I'm kind of curious how that would even work. Like, let's take Netflix for a second, okay? How would you go around like so Netflix doesn't put stuff anywhere else except
Yeah,
Netflix.
Netflix, I have.
There's right because it's like they have a fixed amount that they get per person. Um, they have thousands and thousands of shows at this point, right? TV shows and movies and so. I mean, there's like I don't know if anyone in a lifetime could go through all the whole entire catalog, right?
Yeah,
Um, I'm like, how would you pay for every view?
yeah.
And and
That was a,
right, and then if for example the views depend also on how much the show or movie is advertised, right? So if like Netflix puts it on the main screen over and over again, and you see it, you'll watch it more. Some movies and TV shows they put billboards up, and some they don't. Would that affect how much? Meaning, if they put in, let's say, $10 million to advertise this brand new show, does the view per episode change? How much would you try? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like there's so many variables there that I genuinely don't know how you pay for that.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's something that Netflix would have to figure that out, right? I mean, that's
Right.
not an easy situation, but I mean, they figure out like how much they actually will purchase a show for a movie and all that stuff. So they have the metrics and how to actually do the calculations. But yeah, I was referring more to something like you can put advertisement on it, then they can be able to calculate, you know, per airing, how much money does the show make. So
Right. But that's the whole point is that they don't put any ads, and I don't think that they want to go into ad direction. And I'm not sure if you know, but
not
they
but
don't.
something general. General, I'm talking about
Oh,
other,
okay,
other shows, different networks and stuff like that.
right.
Yeah.
But they still. But remember, Netflix is one of the companies who doesn't disclose how many views each episode
Right.
does or whatever. They only sometimes go like, we this is our most watched movie or something like that,
Right.
or this movie got 100 million views or
But
something
I'm
like.
assuming I'm assuming they'll disclose it to the studio that produced it, right? So
Right. Well, that's the thing. That's one of the arguments that they're making right now from the writers and the actors is that they're going like, "Hey, we want to know how much, like how many views everything gets." The
I see.
reason why Netflix and Amazon and all these other companies they don't want to actually share the views is because they understand that they're gonna have people come back to them and go like, "Hey, we saw that this movie did 100 million views, so
Oh,
we want to get paid accordingly for the next movie." While Netflix now could go, hey, we want to come back and like we want to do a part two. And you have very little negotiating room because you're like, well, if you want to do another one, I want to get paid 10% more. Okay,
okay.
fine, we accept. But if you know that it did 100 million views, you're like, I want to get paid 3 times more than what I got paid for the first movie.
I
Do you know
see.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They
that's basically where the whole thing is. Um, it seems
so
like Bill Maher and everything. At least right now, they're not going to be doing it, and
what
it
one
is what it is.
okay,
What?
1 second. Are you saying most of these strikes are because of like streaming websites?
Most of it, yeah. Most of like it's not specific to them, but it is mostly them. It's like probably like 90% to and 10% everything else. It's
Wow.
because they want to get paid every single time anything they do airs, and right now that's
That
not the case because they don't disclose how much. But at the same time, they do give them up front like, hey, this is how much you get paid. This is how much blah blah. Do you want to do this?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. And if you want to next time, you know, ask for more, then okay, ask for more. Like
Right.
I,
Well, they're that's why they're going through the what is it called when you have a group of people? What is that? Oh
class
no,
also
no. Like it's the group that protects the workers. What is it called?
union.
Yeah, thank you, union. That's why they go to the union. The union basically goes, all right, well then if you don't do this that they want, then no one, you can't do any shows, you can't do any movies. And Netflix is one of the ones that is probably the most protected out of everyone, just because they have a huge catalog and they have so many back catalog stuff. They're probably good for the next like year and a half or so. At least that's what people say.
Wow.
So they kind of don't, and they have a lot of international movies and a lot of international deals that
And
they don't have to deal with the unions here. So they could do movies in other places as well.
that's true. They really do have a huge catalog. So yeah,
Yes.
they're they're pretty good. And yet again, I mean, there's so many movies to put up that they probably haven't put up that they
Hmm.
may be able to. So I think Netflix is in a good place.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't. We don't have to worry about them, but we'll
Yes.
see. We'll see how this gets resolved. We'll see if before that
What do you
either.
think? Let me ask you this
Okay.
final question.
Yeah.
When do you think this will get resolved? Like time frame wise, what do you think?
Before I would always say within the year. I don't know now. I really don't. I still think that there's a potential of that, but man, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But
Okay. Do you think that this gets resolved this year or next year?
if I'm betting, I'd probably say by the end of the year, yeah.
Oh,
But I am not like I'm not like this is not a certainty bet. I wouldn't be surprised if it's next year. Like truthfully, I wouldn't be surprised.
okay.
But
Well,
yeah,
we'll leave it at that.
we'll we'll see. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us again, and hope you guys we see you next week. And again, if you guys could like and do other fun stuff, be awesome. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys.